Hello, I'm Paul Kildea. I'm Artistic Director of Musica Viva Australia. I'm on Wurundjeri country. Welcome to the 2023 season. One of the things I really wanted to do this year was to present obviously traditional chamber music, but also to allow audiences to hear and see chamber music in a very different way, which entails putting together the best of Australian artists, writers, musicians, with the best of international performers, musicians, writers, thinkers. Musica Viva Australia and Matthias Schack-Arnott have collaborated on John Cage's Sonatas and Interludes, one of the great masterworks of the 20th century, in something we're calling the Cage Project, because I invited Matthias to think about the internal of this prepared piano and turn it into this wonderful theatrical event involving mobiles, lights, MIDI feeds, percussion, and it'll be premiered in the Perth Festival and before going to the Adelaide Festival, and then from there it'll have a big European life. I also really wanted to feature the young Australian pianist, Aura Go. Aura is an astonishingly interesting musician, the way that she thinks, the way that she plays, her imagination and her bravery. And she is in fact going to be performing an adaptation of a book I wrote about the piano on which Chopin wrote and completed a number of major works, including the 24 Preludes. Silk Metal Wood is the title I've given to a tour involving the wonderful cellist Jean-Guy Queresh, who's combining with the koto player Satsuki Odamura and also the young Adelaide cellist James Morley. And so they're working together on a number of pieces, including some duos for two cellos, but also this commissioned work by Jakub Jankowski that he's writing for cello, for koto and bass koto, and also for antiphonal cello. So it's bringing the three of them together in this most unusual lineup of instruments. We have a number of string quartets this season, starting with the Flinders Quartet, an Australian quartet, collaborating with the guitarist Karen Schaub. We then have later in the year the Vision String Quartet, a really young, interesting group that plays everything from memory. Garrick Olsen, who came to us in February, March in 2020, loved his experience here, and I loved his concert and music making so much that I asked him if he'd come back, and this time I want him to perform the music that he's very well known for, which is Chopin, but he also wants to take on these monumental pieces, the Liszt B minor sonata and the Barber piano sonata. Debussy said that he wanted to be buried among the birds and the trees, and that's the title of one of our tours with the great flute player Adam Walker, who's bringing two of his great friends, Tom Ridout, the astonishingly young and brilliant viola player, and Anneline Lennertz, who's the solo harp player from the Vienna Philharmonic. And they're of course going to play works by Debussy, including the trio, but also some fantastic solo works. For Noah Wildschut, a captivating, amazingly talented young Dutch violinist, and her co-artist, the German pianist Elizabeth Braus, I've asked the Australian composer May Lyon to write a work for them. And that's going to be just this wonderful feature of the end of the season. We're excited to bring back Viva Edge and Sydney Morning Masters. Also, for the first time in 4 years, the Melbourne International Chamber Music Competition is returning. This is a season of unmissable performances. Of course I'm going to say that, but the thing about chamber music is that there is an autonomy, there is a vulnerability, and there is an intimacy that you can't get in any other musical form. Join us in 2023. It'll be a pleasure and a privilege to welcome you back into concert halls throughout the country.